Maybe you saw a bright light and asked yourself, is that a star or something else? Maybe you felt curious or even a little lost under that wide, dark sky. Today, we will explore that mystery together. And as you listen, you will also improve your English in a natural and enjoyable way. This is not just a science lesson. This is a story about where we live and what surrounds us. My name is Daniel, and I'm a science teacher. But before I became a teacher, I was just a quiet boy who loved the night sky. I grew up in a small town where the air was clean and the nights were dark. There were no bright city lights, so the stars looked clear and alive. Every evening, I sat outside with my grandfather. He was not a scientist, but he had a deep love for the sky. He would look up and smile, like he was seeing old friends. One night, when I was about 10 years old, something special happened. The sky was very clear. There were thousands of stars shining softly. My grandfather pointed to one bright light and said, "That is not a star." I looked at him confused. He smiled and said, "That is a planet. It is another world." Another world. I could not stop thinking about those words. How could that small light be a world? How far away was it? What was it like? Years later, I learned the truth. That bright light was Mars, a cold, dusty planet far from Earth. But at that moment, when I was a child, it felt magical. It made me realize something important. The sky is not empty. It is full of places. Now let me help you see those places clearly. Our story begins a very long time ago. About 4.6 billion years ago, there was no Earth, no sun, no planets. There was only a huge cloud in space. This cloud was made of gas and dust. It was cold, dark, and silent. But slowly, something began to change. The cloud started to move. It began to spin, very slowly at first, then faster and faster. As it moved, the center of the cloud became tighter and hotter. The pressure grew stronger. The heat increased. Then something powerful happened. A bright light appeared. The sun was born. Imagine a fire that never stops burning. That is our sun. It gives us light and heat every day. Without it, life on Earth would not exist. Around the young sun, the rest of the cloud did not disappear. It spread out into a wide, flat disk. Inside this disk, tiny pieces of dust began to come together. They touched, stuck, and slowly became bigger. Small particles became rocks. Rocks became large bodies. And over time, these bodies grew into planets. This is how the solar system was created. But not all planets formed in the same way. Close to the sun, it was extremely hot. Only strong materials like rock and metal could survive. That is why Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are rocky planets. Farther away from the sun, it was much colder. Ice and gas could exist there. That is why planets like Jupiter and Saturn are very large and made mostly of gas. Each planet is different. Each one has its own story, its own environment, its own secrets. Let's come back to Earth. Today, Earth is full of life. We have oceans, forests, animals, and people. But in the beginning, Earth was not peaceful. It was a dangerous place. The surface was hot. Volcanoes were active. Rocks from space often hit the planet. Slowly, over a very long time, things changed. The planet cooled down. Water appeared. The air became more stable. And finally, life began. When I first understood this, I felt something deep inside me. I felt small because the universe is so big and so old. But I also felt lucky because we are here, living on this small planet. One quiet night, many years after my grandfather passed away, I returned to that same place. I sat under the sky again, just like before. But this time, I saw more than just lights. I saw planets moving in silence. I imagined them traveling around the sun, following invisible paths. I thought about the long history of space and how everything is connected. The solar system is not still. It is always moving. Planets travel around the sun at incredible speeds. Moons circle their planets. Asteroids drift through space, sometimes slowly, sometimes dangerously fast. It is like a silent dance. Beautiful, but not always safe. And sometimes, this peaceful system can become violent. Long ago, something from deep space moved toward Earth at great speed. It did not stop. It did not change direction. And when it arrived, everything changed. The object came from the darkness of space. It was not a planet, not a moon, and not a star. It was much smaller, but still powerful. It was an asteroid. An asteroid is a large rock that travels through space. Some are small, like stones. Others are as big as mountains. They move silently, but very fast. This asteroid was huge. For millions of years, it had been traveling through the solar system. No one saw it. No one could stop it. It moved closer and closer to Earth, following a path shaped by gravity. At that time, Earth looked very different from today. There were no humans. There were forests, oceans, and giant animals. Dinosaurs walked across the land. They were strong, powerful, and ruled the planet. But they did not know what was coming. The asteroid entered Earth's atmosphere at an incredible speed. The sky suddenly became bright. The air grew hot. For a few moments, it looked like a second sun in the sky. Then it hit. The impact was beyond imagination. The ground shook violently. A huge explosion spread in all directions. Fire and dust rose high into the sky. The force was so strong that it created massive waves in the ocean. Forests burned. The sky turned dark. Everything changed in a very short time. Dust and smoke covered the atmosphere. Sunlight could not reach the surface. The earth became colder. Plants could not grow. Animals could not find food. This was the beginning of a mass extinction. Many species disappeared, including the dinosaurs. When I first learned this story, I felt a deep silence inside me. It was hard to believe that one event, one moment, could change the entire planet. But this is part of the truth about our solar system. It is beautiful, but it can also be dangerous. After that event, Earth slowly began to recover. Life did not end completely. Small animals survived. Over time, new species appeared. The world changed again. And much later, humans arrived. We often think of space as something far away, something that does not affect us. But the truth is different. Space has always been part of our story. Even today, asteroids still move through the solar system. Most of them stay far away. Scientists watch them carefully. They study their paths. They try to understand where they're going. Because even now, the question remains, could something like that happen again? As I grew older, I became more curious. I wanted to understand not only Earth, but everything around it. I wanted to know more about the planets, the moons, and the deep space beyond them. So I studied harder. I read books. I looked through telescopes. I asked questions again and again. One night while I was in university, I had a chance to use a powerful telescope for the first time. It was much stronger than anything I had used before. I pointed it toward Jupiter. At first, I only saw a bright circle. But then slowly, I began to notice more details, lines across the surface, colors moving together, and around it, small points of light. Those were its moons. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. It is so big that more than 1,000 Earths could fit inside it. But it is not solid like Earth. It is made mostly of gas, a giant ball of storms and clouds. One of its storms, called the Great Red Spot, has been active for hundreds of years. It is larger than Earth itself. When I saw Jupiter through that telescope, I felt the same feeling I had as a child. Wonder, curiosity, a quiet excitement. But there was also something else. I realized how little we truly know. Even with all our technology, space is still full of mysteries. We can see planets, but we cannot easily visit them. We can measure distance, but we cannot fully understand everything. And some places in our solar system are more extreme than anything we can imagine on Earth. Take Venus, for example. From far away, Venus looks bright and beautiful. It is often called Earth's sister planet because it is similar in size. But when you look closer, you discover a very different world. Venus is extremely hot. Hot enough to melt metal. Its atmosphere is thick and full of harmful gases. The pressure on its surface is very strong. It is not a place where humans could live. Then there is Saturn, with its beautiful rings made of ice and rock. Or Neptune, a cold and distant planet with powerful winds that move faster than any storm on Earth. Each planet tells a different story. And as I continued my journey as a student, I began to understand something important. The solar system is not just a group of planets. It is a system shaped by forces. Gravity, motion, time, and energy. Everything is connected. Everything affects something else. But sometimes those connections create unexpected events. Strange movements, unusual patterns, small changes that lead to big results. And one night, during my research, I noticed something that did not feel right. At first, it looked like a small detail, just a tiny difference in data. But the more I studied it, the more it troubled me. Something in space was moving, in a way I did not expect. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe it was a small error in the data. Maybe the telescope needed adjustment. These things happen often in science. Not every strange result is important, but something about it stayed in my mind. The numbers were slightly different from what they should be. The object I was tracking, an asteroid, was not following its usual path. It was moving, just a little off course. A small change. But in space, even a small change can become something very big. I decided to check again the next night. I used the same telescope. I looked at the same area of the sky. I carefully recorded the position. The result was the same. The asteroid was changing direction. I felt a quiet tension in my chest. Not fear yet, but something close to it. A feeling that I should not ignore this. So I went deeper. I collected more data. I used computer models to predict its future path. I spent hours, then days, studying this one object. And slowly, the picture became clearer. The asteroid was not just moving randomly, it was being pulled. Pulled by gravity. In our solar system, gravity is the invisible force that controls everything. The sun has the strongest gravity, so all the planets move around it. But planets also have gravity. They can pull on moons, on asteroids, even on each other. This asteroid was passing near a large planet, Jupiter. Jupiter is not just big, it is extremely powerful. Its gravity is like a giant hand in space. It can change the path of objects that come too close. Sometimes Jupiter protects us. It pulls dangerous asteroids away from Earth. But sometimes, it can also send them in new directions. I ran the model again, this time including Jupiter's gravity. My heart started to beat faster. The new path appeared on the screen. A long curve, moving through space, slowly changing direction, moving inward, toward the inner planets, toward Earth. I stopped breathing for a moment. No, this can't be right, I whispered. I checked everything again. Every number, every calculation. I looked for mistakes. I hoped to find one. But everything was correct. The asteroid's path had changed. And now there was a small chance, very small but real, that it could come dangerously close to Earth. I felt cold, not because I was in a dark room, but because of what this meant. I remembered the story of the dinosaurs. I remembered how one impact changed the entire planet. Was something like that happening again? I knew I had to tell someone. The next morning I went to my professor. He was an expert in planetary science. Calm, careful, and very experienced. I showed him the data. He did not speak at first. He just looked at the screen, slowly, carefully. Then he leaned closer. "Run it again," he said quietly. I did. The same result appeared. He took a deep breath. "This is unusual," he said. Unusual. That word did not make me feel better. Soon more scientists joined us. We shared the data. We compared it with information from other observatories around the world. We asked for confirmation. Hours passed. Then one message arrived. Another team had seen the same thing. The asteroid's path was changing. Now the room felt different. Quiet, but heavy. Everyone understood the situation. It was not just a mistake. It was real. But there was still one question. How dangerous was it? We continued the calculations. We added more data. We improved the models. Slowly, the prediction became more clear. The asteroid would not hit Earth. But it would pass very close. Closer than most asteroids we had ever studied. Close enough to be dangerous if something changed again. Close enough to remind us how fragile our planet really is. I felt a mix of relief and fear at the same time. Relief, because we were safe. For now. Fear, because space is not predictable. One small change, one unexpected force, and everything could be different. That night, I could not sleep. I went outside and looked at the sky. It looked peaceful, quiet, beautiful, just like when I was a child. But now I knew the truth behind that beauty. The solar system is not just a calm place. It is active, powerful, full of motion and hidden risks. As I stood there, I thought about my grandfather. "Every light has a story," he used to say. Now I understood. Some stories are peaceful, some are dangerous, and some are still being written, right now, far above us. The asteroid continued its journey through space, moving closer with each passing day. And as scientists around the world watched it carefully, one thing became clear. We were not just observers anymore. We were watching something that could have changed everything. The days that followed felt longer than usual. Scientists around the world were watching the asteroid every hour. Telescopes from different countries were pointed at the same small object in the sky. Computers were running again and again, checking its path, measuring every small movement. And slowly, something became clearer. The asteroid would pass Earth, not hit it. Pass it. The distance was still very close in space terms, but safe enough. There would be no impact, no fire in the sky, no destruction. When the final result was confirmed, the room became quiet. Then someone smiled. Another person took a deep breath. I didn't say anything at first. I just sat there, looking at the screen. All those days of tension, fear, and focus suddenly felt very heavy inside me. Then, slowly, I felt something else. Gratitude. We were safe. That night, I went outside again. The sky looked the same as always, dark, wide, and full of stars. But inside me, something had changed. I no longer saw the solar system as just a beautiful place. I saw it as something real, something active, a system full of motion, balance, and sometimes danger. And I also saw something else. I saw how much we have learned, and how much we still do not know. The asteroid passed Earth silently. No one could see it with their eyes alone, but we knew it was there, moving through space, continuing its journey around the sun. Life on Earth continued as normal. People went to work. Children went to school. The world moved forward. But for me, that moment stayed. It reminded me of something very simple but very important. We are part of the solar system. We are not separate from it. The sun gives us energy. The moon affects our oceans. Gravity keeps everything in motion. And sometimes, space sends us reminders of its power, but it also gives us something beautiful. It gives us questions. It gives us curiosity. It gives us the desire to learn. Years ago, I was just a boy looking at the sky with my grandfather. I did not understand anything. I only felt wonder. Now I understand much more. I know about planets, gravity, asteroids, and time. But that feeling of wonder, it is still there. And I hope, after listening to this story, you feel it too. Because learning English is not only about words and grammar. It is also about discovering new ideas, new worlds, and new ways to see things. And sometimes, it starts with a simple question. What is out there? Now it's time to learn some useful vocabulary from today's story. Asteroid means a large rock that moves through space. Example: the asteroid passed close to Earth. Gravity means a force that pulls objects toward each other. Example: gravity keeps the planets moving around the sun. Impact means a strong hit or collision. Example: the impact changed the planet. Atmosphere means the layer of air around a planet. Example: Earth's atmosphere protects us. Path means the direction something follows. Example: the asteroid changed its path. Mystery means something we do not fully understand. Example: space is full of mysteries. Survive means to stay alive after a dangerous situation. Example: some animals survived the event. Observe means to watch carefully. Example: scientists observe the sky every night. Now let's do some shadowing practice. I looked up at the sky. It was not a star. It was a world. The asteroid was moving closer. We were watching carefully. It passed Earth safely. The universe is full of mystery. I want to understand more. We are part of something bigger. Thank you so much for learning with me today. What did you feel when you heard this story? Do you enjoy looking at the night sky? Which planet are you most curious about? Keep practicing your English every day, step by step. See you in the next story.